Aging's a bitch. I feel like that's what everyone says. They talk about the pains and the aches and everything else. And we're going to dive in during part 3 today of Under the Surface Health Side Effects. Is aging as terrible as it sounds? Let's do this. Hello, Butthole Breathers. How are we doing today? To those of you watching on YouTube, yes, a fresh dew, fresh blonde. That's, you just feel so much more confident, right? And then, it's summer now. So with a tan, you're like, okay, I got this. I'm going to take this podcast on today. Welcome. We are in part 3 of Under the Surface Health Side Effects edition. So we talked about, if you haven't listened to, in part 1 and part 2, different things that sometimes get a bad rap, and we go through maybe there's actually some benefits, and we talk about that. And so today we're going to dive into aging. Is it as terrible as it sounds always? And listen, disclaimer, I know I'm not there yet, but I treat a lot of people who are. I have family and friends, and I study. So we're going to just dive into the reality. Yes, aging will bring out things that you didn't take care of, and it'll bring out your choices in life, which I know doesn't sit well for some of you listening right now. That might hurt a little bit. So let me repeat. Aging will bring out some of the choices that you've made in your life. And we see this with professional athletes all the time in the office. In their 20s, 19, 20, 21, they're like, I got this. I don't feel a thing. 26 to 28 hits, and they're like, ooh, this recovery is a little harder. I need to nurture myself. And professional sports is just such a small window of a whole life. But, their lifespan in professional sports, it's getting longer because, they're learning things. We're learning more things in manual care to be able to take care of their bodies and extend their career. But usually you don't see a 50-year-old football player, correct? Or a 50-year-old hockey player. They get put in this intense bubble that all of a sudden it's okay, it's a short time span or a lifespan career normally. And that is in parallel to our lives. We just extend it out. The physicality and the load and stress of pressure on the body just accelerates it for them. So with aging, it brings out your choices. So how good have you treated yourself? And the positive of this, because we're always looking at the positives, right, is that our bodies are so resilient. If you kind of veer off the track a little bit or turn left or the wrong way, you can come back to the main road and still be cruising. It's just, you're going to have to work a little bit and then change your habits. And what's even cooler is I've seen with patients even coming in, when menopause hits or an injury or something later in life, frozen shoulder. I mean, all the things, they're coming in 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. We can make that turn in the positive direction where they're feeling better by just changing a few habits. So it's not all bad. I look at aging, even to where I am now, is like a learning experience. And that's, I used to be a candy striper on the geriatric floor in high school. I've always had a fascination with old people. They tell it like it is. They don't give a shit. And they're going to tell you their experience, and we can absorb and learn from that. Of course, it's a different time, but there are so many parallels and things you might not think of that from their perspective. Oh, okay, maybe I need to place some importance on this. And just in my time here, I wish I could go look at my 20-year-old self and tell myself a few things, of hey, it's all going to work out. It might not be how you look. It's actually going to be better than you imagined. And really now perspective of life is, looking at things as a growth opportunity, or there's a reason that happened to steer me in a different direction. I'm meant for something different and even better than I can imagine. And I think that's a really cool perspective on life. And I've gained that from people who have aged, who have that perspective now. I don't think aging's all bad. My grandma used to say her favorite decade of her life was her 40s. And I've heard, clients say 50s or 60s, 70s, and it's funny because you think everyone's like, oh, your 20s, you go to college, like that's the best time. But then you talk to people later in life when they're older and they would say something different for a different reason. And I think that's because you kind of learn more about yourself and who you are and what you want out of life, and place that in your body. What makes you feel good? What doesn't? Are you going to set boundaries around your well-being and your health? Or are you going to just go, go, go like you kind of do in your 20s because you don't know and you don't have the knowledge and the wisdom? So aging isn't bad. You're gaining so much wisdom to be able to apply and help yourself. You don't have to be stuck in your old ways of, well, I've done it this way. This is how it needs to go. No, you can have a growth mindset, an open mindset of applying your own wisdom and things you've learned from your friend, new changes in medicine that can help your health, that can help your physical body. Like, for instance, before they didn't know how important strength training was back, probably when I was born. And now we know. And people are changing their workout habits all the time. Oh, okay. I can do body weight. I can do this. We have significant research on how good a daily walk is for everyone. I think there was a preconceived notion that you had to be like running a marathon for any benefits or something like intense. No, a walk has great benefits for you and your cardiovascular health, your insulin resistance if you go after a meal. Like, all these things are coming out and have been out. And when you apply them, you can feel it, even if I do it now in my daily life. So another thing that I wanted to say, two more things about aging. One, we are really forced to learn about hormones and hormone health and how you can help regulate your hormones. And now we know that you can help do that not only through food and supplements, obviously, but with your nervous system. Your cortisol levels have a direct impact on your hormones. So some of these crazy menopausal symptoms you're experiencing, I would, and I do with my patients, hey, what's your, we talked in the previous episode about stress level. Like, what's your cortisol like? Are we having insulin resistance set in? I mean, that's a PCOS thing. All of these factors that we need to talk about. And I think it's pretty cool that medicine, is figuring all this stuff out now. And no matter what age you are, you can help yourself and feel better. It doesn't all have to be downhill. I've seen it in so many clients. We are able to provide an intervention for them and steer them back on track. And they're like, I felt better than I did 20 years ago. If I only knew, because our bodies are so resilient and they want to heal and they want to do good. And that's same. And let's go back to that little bubble with some of my professional athletes. They're winning trophies in their 30s for like best athlete, best at their position. And they're like, Audra, I feel better than I did at 22, because now we can focus in on the weaknesses or on the strengths and then like put it together in a fun little game plan to take them to the next level. And yes, of course, in their sport, that's great too. But what about everyday life? Like, you need to feel good. You want to be able to spend those moments of actually living, being in them and feeling your very best, not only with your body, but your mind. And the third thing I want to say is, I think, aging, we all think, oh, you're going to be so slow. You're going to be so slow. Yeah. I mean, but slowing down isn't that good too, so you can really absorb the moment. I mean, we're trying to do it now to like help people. We're doing that now as like prescription to help injuries and everything. Slow down. Let's take a pause. Let's take a rest, and you can really reflect on things. And I think that's a beautiful thing about aging. You can really have that growth mindset and focus on, okay, this is what I want. Let's really take it in and actually, number one, listen to our bodies. What do our bodies want? So I think that's the beautiful thing about aging. We're able to slow down. We're able to have more wisdom, and we're able to listen to our bodies. Tell me in the comments what's your favorite thing about aging, or maybe your favorite decade. And make sure you forward this to a friend to listen to. Like, all these things out there that we're scared of, they don't have to be that bad. Toodaloo.